And joining me up front once again, a pleasure to welcome back Bernard Hiller, international acting coach and communication expert, and author of The Revolutionary Guide to Acting. Welcome back, Bernard. Thank you for taking time out again to join me. So good.
Absolutely. Anytime you call me, I'm available. I like meeting and I love talking to you because you're super intelligent in the questions you ask and what you want to know.
Well, thank you. I want to start with because it's been like 3 years since we spoke, and since we last spoke in the acting profession, we had
Yes.
the SAG after strike and the Writers Guild strike. And what I want to know from your perspective is here we are a few years later. How have those strikes resonated as things have calmed down? What's left in its wake?
Well, you know what? When there's change, those who change succeed. And the most important thing is that when there is a change, if you don't change with it, you become irrelevant. Here's what everybody needs to do now, where it wasn't before. You need to create your own opportunities. You need to make, there's people that I know, they're always working. They doesn't matter a strike, that doesn't matter of anything. They make things happen. And that's what it is. You're either creating or you're waiting. And what this is forcing you to do is to realize that, of course, they're not making a movie for you, but you can create that. And Hollywood is the only city that loves dreamers and people from like Tarantino and so many other directors. Nobody gave them a chance. They made their own movie. You need to make your own movie. You need to create your own opportunities, which is what I teach artists and business people. You need to create your own, and I teach people how to do that.
Well, which brings me to the second question. Are you born with that innate skill, or do you acquire it, and can you grasp it?
Well, no, of course, you're not born with anything. You need to learn. And the most important thing is that if you want to create something, you need to ask for help. See, successful people always ask for help, average people don't. Successful people are surrounded by other successful people. There are people in your sphere that are doing things, and you need to come up to them and say, "How can I help you?" You need to create what I call a business family or an artistic family. You need to create a family. There's no one who has ever succeeded. You need to have a team. You need to have a partner, and it's something that I think that people are not taught how to succeed and how to be successful in their goals and their dreams and their ideas. And that's what I teach. I help them design a plan for their success.
Let's go back to Buenos Aires. You
Yes.
grew up, you were born there, you grew up
I,
there. Innate
I didn't grow
skills,
up. I would say I did. I was born there, but I left.
grew up in New York.
Yeah, I lived in New York. I'm a New Yorker.
Somewhere along the line, you had parents that either encouraged you or discouraged you. In your case, I know it's going to be they encouraged you, but does that in itself give a person a boost in the industry?
You know what? Everything positive gives a boost. I had parents who told me I could do anything. They never told me I couldn't do anything. They thought everything was possible, so I believed them. But there's a saying that I have is that you can't really be successful unless you have a happy childhood. So before people panic, here's the second part of the sentence. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. You need to get a happy childhood because happy people and passionate people achieve things. So I teach that to people saying, you know what, if you didn't have such a happy childhood, do that now because happiness and joy and being emotional makes you unstoppable. And so some people are a product of their past. And I'm saying, we take your past and I will help you develop a future that you can't wait to live.
So the man or woman who's 55 and says, wait a second, I did have a miserable childhood. The opposite of you, Bernard. They didn't want me to be in what I'm doing, and
Right. I got
it
it.
affects
I
me to
got it.
this day. So how we switch that around at 55, 60 years old?
I don't think it's a switching around. It's something that everybody needs to do. Here's how it works. Here's how life works. And I use the example of a conductor. You've all seen a conductor for an orchestra. He comes out and he takes a bow, and then he does something that every successful person must do, doesn't matter what age. He has to turn his back to the audience and he has to conduct his life. He has to do what he wants to do. He's got to find the different pieces of his life, and they all have to play the same song and they have to be in harmony. When you don't turn your back to your audience, you'll never live the life that you were born to be. It depends when they want to. Uh, there are ways to be successful. Success is not an accident. You need to learn how. And one of the things that I teach, I said, are you ready to turn your back and conduct your orchestra? Live your life. Some people, I don't, we don't really want to talk about the people that are not doing it. The people that I work with are the people who I call have an unrealistic dream. If you have an unrealistic dream, an unrealistic goal, an unrealistic idea, then come see me because unrealistic people achieve things. And
Unrealistic? Unrealistic?
unrealistic,
What does
yeah.
that mean? What does that mean?
Unrealistic is like somebody who says, I think we should work on something. This may be, I don't know if you have this, it's called an iPhone. Heard about this? Everybody thought that's stupid. There was a guy named Steve Jobs. Maybe you heard of him. He had an idea of a computer and he went to a huge company, IBM. You know what they said? That's not going to work. It sounds stupid. The idea is that unrealistic things to others is just because they've never done it.
Which,
But
by the way,
unrealistic-
there's a billboard out, we talk about Wilshire Boulevard, that used to have you can make a movie with this.
Of course, but you can do everything with that. You have to realize that I want to thank all the unrealistic people in the world. They're the ones who invent things. They go like, why not? Why can't we do that?
That's an unrealistic person.
The unrealistic person is the only people that are there. But to me, it's realistic. When people started the movie industry, people thought like, no one's going to go to that. There's a famous thing where, when you invent something, you have to have a patent that it belongs to you. And I think in 1930s, the guy who ran the patent went to the president and say, I think we can close down. Everything that's been invented has been invented. And the idea is that I'm telling you that right now, the future belongs to those who see things that no one else does. And it's unrealistic to other people, but they're a person that's actually not asking for people's permission. I mean, you have to think about why would internet even work? I mean, it's really hard to sell because everybody has to join. What if some countries joined and others didn't? And like it's a very weird thing about this whole thing. But think that everything great that people think, even artists think great, it's because once people thought it was unrealistic.
You hit upon a real interesting point, and that is, as we are right now, we're in streaming. Used to be radio was it. Then movies was going to kill radio. Then television was going to kill movies. So I don't know what streaming is going to kill, but everybody's really afraid of it right now in our business.
But you know what? Fear is not going to help you. There's something called AI, and then so it's the
Keeps
future.
going. It keeps
You
going.
either future. Listen, the future. Either you're part of the future or you're part of the past.
Do
So
you understand AI?
of course, I understand AI. It's the future. I don't know, but we'll got to get into it. It's not like you push it away. It's like, you know what? When they had a horse and buggy, they said cars. That's never going to work. There's no roads. There's no roads. When they made cars, there were no roads. There were nothing. You couldn't get on a thing. You have to realize that whenever somebody invents something great or believes in themselves, people will think it's great. People will first think it's crazy. If somebody thinks it's crazy, then you have a dream. If no one thinks it's crazy, you actually don't have a dream. It's just an idea. Because a dream is when I'm thinking like, I believe there should be peace between this country and that country. I think there should be that. And the ones who have big visions are the ones who achieve things in life.
But people get scared. Again, the word fear is scared, particularly in the acting profession right now with the word streaming, with AI. It's going to take jobs away. And you're here to say,
Wait, no, you're confused. Right now, there's 526 television stations with HBO and Max and I don't know.
more than ever before.
You know what they all need?
What?
Material.
Content that I call is content.
They need content. And that means it's the best time to be an artist in the world. Now you can make a movie from Yugoslavia and it's seen on Netflix. Before that wasn't happening. There's more opportunities. You have to see opportunities. Streaming, everything changes, but that's what life is. You change as well. And if
Which
you don't change as a human being, and by the way, since I work mainly with business people now, I help them change to be ahead of the curve and to be ahead. Because if you're still doing what you're doing 5 years from now, you're going to be out of business. Most businesses fall out of business if they keep doing the same thing. That's why they have iPhone. You still have the iPhone 1? Are you still one or you're a
no
50?
idea.
Well, what happens if they only had one? They'd be out of business.
That's true. That's true.
The idea is they keep 14, and one day it'll be like iPhone 97. And what 97 is like, you don't even hold it. It comes in the air, and we need inventions. We need
From what
people. And you have to realize that if you don't act on your dream,
mhm.
someone else will. One day, someone else will come up with like this. By the way, the reason you become a millionaire is that you invent things that was like, there was no car seat. There was no car seat for kids. Someone said, hey, we should have, and somebody invented that. We need creative people. And I'm only saying that you can't live in fear. You have to live in your heart and in your creativity to
You know,
succeed.
you just triggered something. Years ago when I hosted my show in Washington, D.C., I had a guest on who said, it's similar to what you're talking about, and said you either fulfill a need or create a need, and that will make you a lot of money. And that's kind
Of
of what you're saying.
course, that's business. We're in show business. We have to create a need. Of course, that's what we need to do.
So, bring me back to New York. You started out to be an actor,
No, I started as an actor. I started singer, dancer, actor. I was trained.
performer. You were a performer,
I want to be a performer. Yeah, that's what I did.
and then it changed because you became more of a coach. What happened?
Well, you know what? I would say that my career kind of took a turn, but I never forgot acting. I never forgot singing. I brought all that with me. I just wanted to teach it in a new and exciting way. And I've been fortunate and lucky enough to work with people from around the world, teaching them a new way to become an artistic success.
But there
Uh,
had to be a point where you said, "I'm going to step off the stage, so to speak.
yes.
I'm going to be behind the stage, helping others to get on the stage." What was that? What was that epiphany?
You know what? I never really thought of that. I just thought that I do many things. That's the kind of job I love. The job I love is the fact that a couple of years ago I did a thing with Al Pacino in a television show. I always think that I never thought that I would step off. It's like I teach. Then I wrote a screenplay, which we're shooting next year with Andy Serkis. Then I'm dancing, which I do every week. Then I'm singing whenever I can. The idea is that it's sort of like it's like, oh, I like that, but I love teaching. I love working. I love coaching. It's something I love to do, but nothing ever leaves me. I always bring everything with me. But I never think like, oh, I got to give this up to do that. It's sort of like, you know what? I guess now I'm not eating lobster. Now I'm eating steak. The steak, like that's pretty good too. Lobster was good. Steak was good. I'm doing all the things that I always love. And it just happened to be because I wasn't planning to teach. It was something somebody asked me to do. And I thought, really? I thought the ones who can't teach. And I go, well, I think acting and being a business success should be something should be differently taught than it is. And so I created it, and luckily people liked it, and I'm very fortunate because I have the most wonderful life, meeting incredible people around the world, successful artists, people who want to be artists, people who have dreamers. I love dreamers because those are the people that move the world.
In creating the business you have now, and you have a lot of people that work with you, other coaches and such. Explain what it has evolved into, because it is international. How does it work? What do you do?
Ex- Ask
Explain
the question one more time.
explain how you have created since last we even talked. You've expanded. You've got more people helping you coach.
Yes,
I mean, it's really worldwide.
right.
What does a person who comes to your classes to
Well, let's talk about one-on-one. Not only classes, I work one-on-one, but I'm going to make you my student. Okay, Ross? Ross, what is it that you want? You come to me for something. I work on transformation. I don't work on information. Tell me something you would like to do. Tell me so I would like to feel more tell me some desire because you come to me, it's like a doctor.
so expand my business now that the world is changing. Want to expand my business in broadcast.
Expand your business. The first thing I need to do is I need you just to expand your mind.
Mm.
Here's the thing. If you want to achieve what you've never achieved, you have to become the person that you've never been. The thing that stops your life and your career is not the lack of knowledge. It's you as a human being. So you would have to think bigger. You would have to think that this is possible. And you have to feel like you deserve to expand and to think like, what value are you going to bring to people? How are we expanding? What value are you doing with your talk show that people really want to tune in? What are you going to be doing that other people are not doing? So we have to talk about expanding yourself, expanding your personality, expanding your reach, expanding the people that you're going to meet. You have to recognize that you know things happen. I always call miracles happen through other people. You'd have to ask for help. You'd have to change the way if you want to keep getting what you're getting, just keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to get something else, you have to do something else. You have to become somebody else.
And that makes perfect sense. Which, by the way, how did you realize that back in New York? I don't care where you were. How did you realize that?
I have to say that I realized that by studying success and learning. I've read every book, I've watched every seminar, I've taken from other people, and then I realized that I'd started because I find that some of the workshops, which are nice,
Right.
but they give you a lot of information, and I go, no, because I think it all started from my acting background. Because in acting, you have to become a certain person. You have to think a certain way, act a certain way, react a certain way to play a certain character. So sit up right now if you were like the most successful person on television. See, but nowadays, look how you're sitting differently. Because
Hmm.
well, and then I want to make you the most positive person that nothing you're I want you to be unstoppable. All right. So you're unstoppable. So as I say, look, I don't think this is going to work. Now, the unstoppable person doesn't hear that. So you have to recognize that if you thought differently, act differently, we would end up somewhere differently. And what I do is I help you become the person that you need to be to achieve what you want. Most people have their dream here and you're there and you're kind of looking this way. I'm
Right.
going, what if I teach you to become the person so you could just kind of walk right into it? And that's what I do. I want to transform you, not give you more information, because I think we're just overloaded with information. But and we have to figure out what stopped you, what stopped your success. I don't just teach you more things. I find out how have you been living your life up to now?
What's your role model, or did you have one?
Oh, I think that I don't know. I have so many role models. I have role models that don't even know they're role models.
Like,
Uh, I'm inspired. Well, I have to do so. I have to tell you that um, I've had the honor of interviewing so many successful people, and I've learned from them. Academy Award winning people, CEOs. In fact, I'm looking forward to interviewing Brian Cox, who is the father in Secession.
oh yeah.
So he's coming and he's going to share his information with us. And what I've discovered over the years being with these people is every negative thing that's ever been said to them motivated them forward. Everyone told them, you can't, you're too old, you're never going to make it. And they said, because they said that, I'm going to go for it. You see, I learned that they've had difficult life, difficult childhoods, difficult everything, but they were motivated because they had something called an emotional why. You have to be emotional and you have to have a reason. If all of a sudden there is your kid is in the burning building, somehow you will run and save that kid. And that's what you have to feel. You have to find that emotion. And I help you find that emotion because you don't achieve something because it's logical. You only achieve something if it's emotional. Emotional people are unstoppable, and optimistic people don't care about facts. They're not interested in facts. Optimistic people go like, I know, no one's ever made it like you have. It's never too late for you to wake up and be the person you could be. And the idea is that you have to be optimistic because optimistic people, what I've discovered, they were optimistic, they were positive, they believed in their dream, and they were emotional. But they were not looking for logical reasoning and choices. They just saw. Remember the great inventions. People never thought it was going to happen. No one. But I'm not interested in what they thought because they had their back to the audience. They did what they had to do.
So something goes the way you weren't expecting, or just doesn't go the way Bernard Hiller wanted it to. You feel bad. You feel what?
Now, you know what? I do feel bad. Sometimes things don't go well. And so I'm sort of like, I'm sad about it, but I realize what I've learned, which is focus on the lesson, not the pain. Like sometimes like people go like, oh, that didn't happen. I said, okay, what would make happen? Everything you can use as a lesson. And I'm not like perfect about it. Sometimes it bothers me, but I already know that what I need to do, which is that success has clues. It's not an accident for somebody who's successful business guy or superstar. I'm spending time with them, they do certain things. They react to things differently. So when I have a bad day, I let it bother me for a little while, but then I go, okay, well, here's what I'm going to redo. I'm regrouping. And I want you to have the attitude of being unstoppable. But remember, successful people always ask for help from the best people they can find. And who do you know to ask help from? Someone whose life you would switch with. You need to go with people that inspire you. But here's the other thing, you have to be the person you're looking for. If you want to be around inspirational people, you have to be that way. I mean, if you love theater, you need to meet other theater people. If you love sports, you need to meet other people who are sports. And in life, I really believe you don't attract who you want. In life, you only attract who you are.
What final question? What haven't you done that you'd like to do? Is there some
What have I what?
what haven't you done that you'd still like to do? Is there a mountain you'd like to climb? Is it another
Oh, how much time do we have?
ah
What was-
we'll pick it up on that and we'll do this again. But
Well,
give you to give
no, of course. I just wrote a screenplay. I want to do my movie. I want to direct plays. I want to start a corporation. I always have tons of things that I do, but it doesn't make it it's like just keeps me going. I like to help people. I like to help people become. I do something called how to take the public speaking and make it your superpower. I enjoy helping people. I really always enjoy what I'm doing. And like, here's another idea I want to do. Here's another something else. And things come to me and I try to figure out how can I make the most of this situation and how can I help others? Because if you bring value to other people, value will come back to you.
fair to say the Andy Circus thing is another mountain you'd like to climb.
Now my mountain, I wrote a screenplay.
Right.
We're just close to getting the financing. We're shooting next year. That's happening. I'm always looking for the next adventure. I love an adventurous life. So if all of a sudden I'm traveling, I will be traveling now. I'm just trying to think where I'm going. I work for, I do big workshops, sometimes for Mind Valley. You should look that up if you don't know it. It's a very famous group of people
Oh,
that I want to change their lives. Remember, I meet people that want to get better. If you want to get better, more positive, more confident, more energized, charismatic, I'll teach you what you need to do, not think, but do, because I have exercises for that. And I love my life because sometimes I'm doing this and then I'm doing that and then I'm working on with an actor and then I'm working with a business person, then I'm working on a yacht. It's all good.
one of the most passionate people out there. How do they get in touch with you if they want
Get
more?
in touch with me. You can either go to my website, which is bernardhiller.com. You can either email me, bernard@bernardhiller.com. There's a book, there's an Audible, there is a download. You can get it right away. It's got incredible exercises. It talks about the fact that the big problem that we have is that do you love yourself enough to change? Do you love yourself enough to grow? And the problem is that you need to find more love in your life, and you have to love yourself more to accomplish more.
You're the man to help them. Bernard Hiller. Again, thank you. Hopefully we'll do this before 3 or 4 years go by again. You're always
Because we have to.
so insightful and my thanks to Bernard Hiller.
My pleasure.